Okay. Before moving on, I'd like to announce some housekeeping rules and introduce the members of your committee on cannabis as well as the staff of the Legislative Bureau who are with us today. Please silence your phones. Allow me to introduce the members of your committee on cannabis. I'll just read their names out. Vice Speaker Diego. Sorry. Vice Speaker Diego Vincent Camacho of Precinct 1 is the Vice Chair. Rep. BJ Atta from Precinct 3 is excused for today. Flor Marisa Flores from P3. Rep. TJ Manglonia from Precinct 5 is on excused absence. Leader Patrick San Nicolas from Tinian or P6 is on the way. And Rep. Julie Ogo from P7 or Rhoda. And myself, Danita Kaipat Yangtamay, your chair. I'd like to recognize the staff of the Legislative Bureau who are here with us today. Our legal counsel, Mr. Joseph M. Hallahan, also known as Ping. The senior legislative assistant, Ms. Claire Sablan, will also be keeping the minutes of this meeting. Our sergeant at arms, Sergeant Peter Tawai. Our IT manager, Mr. Jonathan Diaz, will be recording our meeting live for the cable, as well as streaming it live on FB on the CNMI Legislators page. Please be advised that even if we are on recess, our FB Live will continue streaming. And by the way, this is an informal meeting. Before we move on, I would like to announce that this is the first meet and greet this year, 2025, with the members of the Cannabis Commission. So we are also excited, and I'm sure you all are, to listen to updates and how this newest industry has fared in our current economy. We will now move to the next item on the agenda, public comments. I'd like to now open the floor for public comments on any item on the agenda. Please state your name for the record and keep your comment at 5 minutes. Okay, thank you, Sarge. So no one wants to comment. I now open the floor for discussion amongst the members about today's agenda. Yes, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. If there's no objection, can we please invite the members of the commission into the chamber, please?
Okay. Okay. All right. So, Sarge, please invite the members of the commission. Do you need the laptop? You need to set up your laptop or anything? No, you're good? Okay. Okay. I would like to give the floor to the members of the Cannabis Commission to introduce their party and to go ahead and enlighten us with their report and perhaps have a Q&A afterwards. You may begin.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Danita Yanktamai, Vice Chair Camacho, and honorable members of this august body. We appreciate the opportunity to provide you guys with an update to the CNMI Cannabis Commission. Yeah, sorry, I'm pulling up. So my name is Mickey Adi Evangelista. I'm the Managing Director for the CNMI Cannabis Commission. To my right is the Executive Secretary, Antonio Lazama, and Inspector Eric Bassa. And then to my left is the Chairman of the CNMI Cannabis Commission, Juan Igual.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us here today.
So I wanted to run down the agenda as far as cannabis collections. So for fiscal year 2022, the Cannabis Commission collected $170,600 $62.68. For fiscal year 23, that number was $283,832.88. And then for fiscal year 24, we're currently having issues with Munis displaying the full year's report. But as far as October 2023 to April 2024, the first 7 months of fiscal year 24, there was $169,110.42 in cannabis tax collections. And we're currently working with the Department of Finance and trying to figure out why the rest of the months aren't showing up on Munis. As far as application and license fees, for fiscal year 2022, we collected $53,492.50 in application and license fees. Fiscal year 2023 was $118,350. And for fiscal year 2024, that was $106,750. So for the application and license fee collections, we were able to pull up the full 12-month report for fiscal year 2024. So that would be what shows for the entire fiscal year. As far as the special funds accounts, for 1501S, which is our cannabis tax collections, we have a certified amount from the Department of Finance as of October 31st, 2024. That number is $111,727.66. For 1501B, which is our special account for application and license fees, that number is $366,217.50. And that account was also certified as of October 31st, 2024. As far as PL 003, which was Public Law 23-20, the appropriation, after all the wages and compensation for the staff and the board are taken into account, spending with our operations, there is currently $54,263.92 left in the account.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Sorry, for the number, Vice Speaker, is that? It was $54,263.92.
The balance on what account?
PL 003.
Oh.
So there's actually more money in the account. It's just for the board's pay and the staff's pay, it's already committed. So we just minus that from the total.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, just clarification. So what is left is 54,000?
Yes, for operations.
Okay, and then how many months is this? What were you paying out to bring it to this number? What were the months accumulating that you had paid so far to bring it to this balance?
That was for, was it October 1st until now? So the board's compensation is $275,000.
Okay. And
then the staff is around $143,000. So that's yeah. So there's still funds, but it's just fully, yeah. We just committed it.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Sorry, I failed to recognize the presence of Rep. Vincent Abdan, also known as Cobre. Thank you.
So currently, there are 18 active licensees. That would be 4 marijuana producer class 1 licenses, 3 marijuana producer class 2 licenses, and 1 marijuana producer class 3 license. 2 marijuana processor licenses, 7 marijuana retailer licenses, and 1 marijuana lounge class 1 license, which equates to $77,600 in total licensing fees. I believe the last time we were here, I reported about 59 or 50 something total active employees. That number has risen to 70 active employees as of September 30, 2024. For pending licenses, we have 1 producer class 1, 1 marijuana retailer, and 1 marijuana lounge class 1 pending applicants. As far as the lounge class 1 applicant, that applicant was already approved on February 28, 2025. We're simply just waiting for them to make the payment for the licensing fee, and then we can issue the license from there. What we're seeing is about projected $12,000 in licensing fees from those pending applicants. And at the end of fiscal year 2024, we had, 5 total licenses that did not renew. That would be 2 retailers, 1 producer class 1, 1 producer class 2, and 1 processor license that did not renew for fiscal year 2025. I believe that is all the numbers I have at the moment to report on.
Recognize the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Director. With the 5 non-renewal of licenses, what is the fiscal impact on that or on the financials?
Thank you for the question, Vice Chair. That was $21,200 in total licensing fees.
All right, thanks for that.
Yes, I recognize Rep. Marisa.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Before I ask a question, Council, can you go to 4 CMC 53036, please? And let me know, how is this money supposed to be spent? This is the Cannabis Revolving Fund. Is this strictly for operations, payments to the board? I'd like to know how this money is supposed to be spent. So we need to change that because it is 4 CMC 53036. Subsection 53036. So while you look, can I go ahead, Chair, and proceed?
Yes,
Okay.
Rep. Marisa.
Thank you. So we do see a decline, Mr. Evangelista, obviously in revenue. A
Yes, ma'am.
slight decline.
Correct.
And you also, can you, I guess in your capacity as an executive director, can you tell me maybe what were the factors as to why this decline is happening?
Well, I think it would really be with the downturn of the economy. Cannabis is not an essential item. It's more of a luxury product. So with the downturn on the economy, we can expect, people to spend more on essentials rather than luxury items.
All right. The last time you were here, and this is all going back to data, you had mentioned and it does coincide with some of the questions. Um, can you give me an update on your implementation of your reporting on collections? How do you collect the data for cannabis in terms outside of the revenue funding source, right? So you are now collecting data, I would assume, per license. Let's just take the retail license, for example. What kind of data do you collect?
Well, besides the monthly reporting, a lot of the numbers that we do get are off of Munis from what is paid through tax and rev.
Okay, so I guess from the last time we met, one of the biggest things was the collection of data per, or not per, but within this industry. Have you guys figured out that data source already? Have you guys even purchased this software to collect the data?
No, ma'am, we were not able to purchase the central tracking system. After the money was appropriated, there was a budget revision done. The board's compensation and the staff's salary was moved out of the general fund and put under the under PL 003, which was the public law 23-20 appropriation.
Sorry, ma'am, if I may also add in more of that regarding the tracking system that you're alluding to. That was the plan, to procure a tracking system with a company that we were communicating with already. Things have changed over, I'd say, like the past 3 months. We were able to. We are now a member of the Cannabis Regulators Association, called CANRA, and by being a member of this association, there was a members meeting in December. Our vice chair Journey Schneider attended this meeting. Vice chair Journey is from Tinian. Anyways, she attended this meeting, and it's all just cannabis regulators there. What we also found out was that this company that we were going to procure our cannabis tracking system with, a lot of the states started having issues with them. And we were getting quotes upwards 100K for an annual license. So just from that meeting, our vice chair was able to meet with other regulators. We've met with. She also had the opportunity to meet with the members from Washington, and they were very kind to inform us on how they were able to transition away from this cannabis tracking system that was very pricey, and now Washington is able to implement their own in-house tracking system based on experiences they got from all the tracking systems that they procured over the past. So that's one thing we would like to share also, is we've been in communication with Washington since our December meeting, and we're gonna try and see how we can do not copy, but I guess implement ways of the tracking system as well. Thank you.
All right, so you're in the process of designing your own internal.
That is the plan, to save us more money. Yes.
Okay, so what are your timelines?
Right now, there's timeline is ASAP, but I mean it really all just depends on Washington, our communications with Washington, and when we can start to see their process and what we can implement on our end. However, we're hoping very, very soon. I can't answer for them, as you know, we are reaching out to them, but it's really their communication back to us and when they can start. But we've added in the contacts already, and just waiting for them to give a green light.
Hold on. So you have your procedures, producers and retailers. Okay, so ASAP is really not a timeline for me, Chairman. And excuse me if I come a little bit forward, and I'm not trying to be aggressive, but I look at this industry like I see poker. It's lucrative if it's designed correctly. It's lucrative if the procedures are in place. And I'm reading through a report that was submitted to me, I'm assuming by the chairman, which was you at the time. So, if anything, sir, I would like to request, Madam Chair, in maybe 3 months, if we can call them back to get an update, maybe not even 3 months, maybe in the next 2 months, to get an update on their internal procedure for tracking. And at this time, before our um, Rep Aldon loses his train of thought, I will yield my time for him. Thank you.
Okay, recognize Rep. Adon.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome, members. So I'm trying to look at these numbers, right? So is it safe to say that with all the pending applicants, right, and all the non-renewals, right, so we're pretty much kind of stagnant, correct? Safe to say, right? Because there's like what 7 new applicants,
Three pending applicants.
3 pending applicants with 5 non-renewable,
Right.
right, or non-renewed. Right? 3 new applicants, 5 non-renewal, right? So we kind of like dipped into the south, right? Safe to say, no? And at the same, so that means that we're going to be probably, hopefully, not going to be impacted by the amount of the sales, because the 3 that could be approved could cover, and hopefully the sales would go up, correct? 'Cause it all
Correct.
depends, right?
Right.
Economics, no? And the other, because what I'm trying to lead at is with the software that we're getting murdered on the price, right? It doesn't make any sense, because I'm thinking that because you guys are going to try to create your in-house software developer, right? So wouldn't it be cheaper to hire a programmer that can actually develop the system instead of buying the system? And that way, because since you created it, you know exactly how to program it uh, to you're programming it in a way where you designed it, therefore you know how to improve it based on local, production, sales, and whatnot, correct? And for $100,000 for a software, that's a salary of that person that's probably could be cut in half, no? And as I'm looking at this, Loki, on your 2024, what is this? If I see that, right. And out of the whole 2024, the board salary is 275,000, right? And yet staff is 143. I see that as a upside down. And the reason why I'm saying that, I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, no, is because the staff are the ones that are out there, making sure everything is in accordance with, correct? And then they report to you, right? And then you report to the commissioners, correct? And so while the staff are out there doing all the legwork, the board members are there making decisions, that really doesn't, impact, like, the day-to-day operation of the, staff to go out there and do the inspection and whatnot. Is it not? And then to me, it looked like it's upside down.
So, definitely, man, your concerns is correct. I see the lopside there where the commissioners earn more, and then we have our staff funds for only 3 employees. Um, but we did have many on our wish list to include to beef up our personnel for 2 in enforcement, 2 for licensing, which the numbers would have increased, but with the changes in the budget again, we had to transfer them from the central account over to us. But um, that's one thing I also discussed in our January 25th meeting. We had our January 25th meeting, and the one thing I asked our treasurer, Mr. Joe Rios, and the executive director, um, was to revisit OMB and Gov's office, the legislature, to try and see if they can take back at least the 3 of our employees into the general fund. This is gonna give us another space to hire additional staff into from our revolving funds. I did meet with the governor before he made the proposal, the changes to his budget, and I did request for that. We did have a lot of discussion to add on if they were able to keep our employees in the general fund. We would have added on more onto the revolving fund, and yes, basically
Right.
that.
Because the way I'm looking at it, right? Because your report on this report to the commission on regarding the CTS, right, is to reduce the amount of black market economy, right? But you won't be able to do that if you don't have the manpower to do so, right? Which means again that it goes back to your issue of unable to collect, the right, amount that the economy on this business is supposed to bring in. So if the governor is taking away from your budget, right, it reduces your ability to curtail this black market business that's taking away from everybody's budget, right? So, are the board members like making him sit down and understand the repercussions of his action when he takes funding from your ability to do your job to increase the collection? Does he understand that?
Um, Congressman, based on my meeting with the gov, it was very short. But however, I did meet with him. I did plead my case regarding taking out the employees from the general fund. Um, but we understood that everyone is going through hardships, and then just recently, I believe this past fiscal year, we saw that on the news that we we met our projections, our collections, right, with finance. So that's why again I'm pushing again our treasurer and the executive director. We can revisit OMB and Gulf's office to see if we can reinstate back our 3 employees, and we can leave out the 3 vacant in our revolving funds, our special funds for additional FTEs in the future. That's always been a discussion.
Right.
And
And how much is that gonna cost if you do take back your 3 personnel?
that still would leave 143, yeah, 143K for additional FTEs that we can possibly put under our special funds account.
So that 143 that you would have collected would have been able to afford to pay for those 3 or 3 employees, right?
Definitely, if they remained in our in the CNMI but general fund, we would have had additional for we would have used that additional for staff, which the managing director also had that on his spending plan prior to the budget being amended.
Right. So this is just another case. Yeah. So this is just another case of robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I would withhold my comment on that. I'm not really sure what happened, but at least we went and I pleaded my case with the Gov. Whether his actions was something I approved of. At least I pleaded my case, tried to get us to stay.
Okay, I recognize Rep. Marisa.
Thank you. Thank you, Rep. Aldan. So I'm going to just read off this report to the Commission on Cannabis. I'm not sure where I got this, but this was something I collected 2 years ago. And I'm going to read off certain things here because I think this is important. And so it says in almost 2 years of licensed cannabis productions and sales in the CNMI, there has been no announced, unannounced, or discussed inspection of grower records, no inspections to compare documented plant counts, actual plant counts, and no inspections of any inventory of shelf weights. Is this still happening?
So we are still collecting data from our producers and retailers every month. The commission actually recently got a loaner vehicle from OMB, which we will be using. We've already used it to conduct inspections, but we'll be doing more.
All right, so that's taken care of.
Right.
Good
Yes,
job.
ma'am.
And then it says the only monthly reporting requirement for producers is to report the quantity of cannabis sold, its value, and the cannabis retail license to whom it was sold. Are you guys still capturing this data?
Yes, Fleur, we
Good.
are.
Okay. And I'm assuming this is in an Excel form
Yes.
because you guys don't have the CTS.
Not yet, no.
Got you. Okay. Just trying to understand. Okay. Thus, there is no real time accounting to the Cannabis Commission of whether a producer's available inventory was exhausted, and if not, what the status is or was of any unsold product. Now, all the unsold product, what happens to that?
They are instructed to be destroyed.
How?
Essentially, just getting rid of them, taking them out. Actually,
Okay. So then this is where Mr. Bossa comes in, right? He makes sure that he looks at all of this excess unsold flower, takes it. Mr. Bossa, can you take me through that process?
So essentially, before a applicant is licensed, right, they're required to provide an SOP. Part of the SOP is creating a disposal plan. We don't have anything set in stone on how to dispose a particular item,
Okay.
but as long as they provide an idea of how it's disposed, and through our review, if the disposal sounds fair and good, then we go ahead and place that record before the board prior to approval.
So right now you don't have any procedure on how to dispose of this.
Currently, the practice of most of our licensees or producers, when they dispose their flowers, was if there's an expiration date, they would put it in baggages and then dispose it to the transfer station.
Oh, so the transfer station receives this and burns it?
It, basically, it's disposed and throw away. I'm not sure if it's burned as per DPW side, but as per the licensee, it is disposed to the proper disposing area.
Are you there when all of this is happening?
Um,
No,
no,
because
ma'am,
there's
we're
no
not.
procedure, right?
no.
That's it. So, Chairman, I highly recommend, as a commission, as a regulatory commission, sir, these procedures are in place. And I'm sorry again, right? I look at this as a business. Okay. Now, in any business, you have a CEO, you have your subordinates, your management staff, which is you guys. Okay. Then you have your board. The management staff is pretty much the people on the ground, recommending to your commission or your board of directors what needs to be done. Now, I don't know where the line of communication is here, but this is part of my frustration, is when we have inactive commissions that are really supposed to be doing the job as far as providing you guys what it needs to effectively have a successful marijuana industry. Correct? Okay, so that's one. Um, and right now, I know that I was the one that actually introduced the bill to actually remove and reduce commission salaries because I believe that it should go to the staff if they're going to be, because they're the ones on the ground. Now, I will let you know, sir, that I will more than likely revisit that once again, because what I don't want is to have the same problem that we're having with the casino commission. We've got very educated people that run in this management team, and I cannot afford, the CNMI cannot afford policies and procedures that are not in place. We can't. And the fact that they're being moved from one place to another and there is nobody there to assist your management team, which is the people on the ground, to effectively have a procedure to dispose of flour. So you really can't tell where the black market is, to be honest. It could actually end up at the transfer station for all we know, and they'd be walking off with bags of marijuana. Am I right? Right? That's a possibility. We can't exclude that now since you guys don't even have a policy. Chairman, I highly recommend that if you guys can operate on a software like Excel to give you the data you need as far as what's collected for the revenue, I highly recommend before that, even for even this, if you guys are so concerned about your salary, I think first and foremost for the amount of money that this commission makes, and I'm talking about the board, I'm not talking about the staff, because that's a big number. Get your policy straight. The CNMI can no longer be working backwards. And the general fund, I'll tell you what, there is no money in the general fund. Madam Chair, I would like to yield my time, but I would like to request that the commission be back in 2 months to give us further updates. Thank you.
Okay, I recognize Rep. Ogo.
Thank you, Chairwoman Janita. Welcome, commissions and staff of the CCC to the House. My question is, this is regarding the forecast. I'm from Rhoda, representative from Rhoda, and I'm very concerned that there's no activity on Rhoda as far as, jump starting the cannabis industry down there. We're paying two commissions, one in Tinian, one in Rhoda, 55,000 a year, and I think with an established industry there, it will help pay the commissions. Now, what is there any plan at all? I mean, I don't see the commissions from Rhoda and Tinian here, which I have questions for, but I'm not sure if you can enlighten us here. But is there any plans for the two islands out down south?
Of course. Thank you for that question, Congresswoman. Of course, there's always plans for those all the islands involved. Speaking just for Rhoda and Tinian, one of the main concerns with a lot of the stakeholders and the interested groups was the application fees, and the tax for it. Their concerns was Rhoda and Tinian is isolated, right? Their population and the demand won't be the same as Saipan. But they still want to participate in the market because, as we know, Tinian and Rhoda host a lot of the festivals, a lot of the highlighted festivals of the years. That has been one move that we've made as a commission. The law granted us to for the commissioners to reduce application fees not more than 25% of the original. So we did that, and plus the tax as well for the other fees included. So that's one which should be published, which we just published it, and I believe should be up for what you call it. It's already yeah. So it's already in place, and they know that. The other thing is, I have here a copy which I will submit to you, Chairwoman, of our proposed amendments to the statute. 2066 and 2105. We've tried to push this as well. There's been a lot of the push since 2020. However, now we're gonna resubmit again, new legislative group. So we're gonna resubmit, and some of the things included in this would benefit Tinian and Rhoda as well in regards to special events. Because right now the law restricts that cannabis be held on public lands for any special events. And same with Saipan, a lot of our events happen at the fishing base or on the hotel grounds, or in Rhoda at the beaches, or in Tinian on the beaches, right? That's all public lands. However, we've communicated with public lands in regards to this matter. And we had a great feedback from them. It is allowable. I'm pretty sure that the delegation, Tinian and Rhoda legislative delegation, are interested to see how it's gonna play out on their end too. There's gonna be a fee with public lands, however, right? But at least that's one thing we want to get going, is to repeal that portion of the 2066 to allow for special events on public lands. So far, retailers are really have been an interest in Tinian, and we believe someone was supposed to apply in December, January, and we're waiting for that as well.
So that proposed reduction of license fee, that's across, right? Right across the cinema.
Yes.
Not just
Correct.
Rhoda or Tinian or whatever. Okay. Chair, are you for now?
Okay. Thank you. Recognize Rep. Marisa.
Sorry, follow up. And, I apologize, commissioners and staff, but at this point, it's almost like desperation, right? We have to fix it. So I'm just a follow-up question. Based on this report that was given to me, have regulations been created to certify the scale requirements by Department of Weights and Measures? Yes or no?
Yes, that is
Okay.
a requirement for all applicants.
And the regulations mandated that now internally? Did you guys have a internal procedure?
It's an application requirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
But their scale, is it brought to Commerce, Weights and Measure, for them to tag that it's been identified as
Yes,
legit?
ma'am.
Okay.
And as far as the licensing process, the portion of it, they do have to provide the certification
Right.
as well.
Okay.
Correct.
And then have you guys addressed the minimum sanitary standards for licensees? Has that been addressed?
That would be in the application process.
Okay, because it says regulations do not address minimum sanitary standards for licenses. So that would be an internal policy and a standard that the commission will establish so that you guys can enforce, correct?
If
Has
I
that been
may,
done?
Congresswoman, we can include that in the regulations. However, in a lot of the application process that we've been approving, a lot of the applications, right, in the regulation changes too that we made was we brought in BEH. BH was lacking in 2066. They were not in that. So we brought them in that especially for processors or whoever's gonna have sales, right? They have to get their certifications to BH as well.
Okay.
So we got out of that situation only because we know that there's already an existing agency for that to certify for health and whatever. So we brought in BH for that, and we also do approve their prior to licensing. We do approve their place for their equipments and whatever they have, sanitation.
So that's been
purposes.
addressed?
Yes.
Okay. And then it says there should require, I guess, the licensee or the producer. Are you guys requiring them now to give you guys a harvest notification?
Not for harvest. No, not
No.
a no harvest notification.
Okay, because that was one of your concerns. So you don't have that regulation?
No, not for harvest. No.
Can you explain why?
I'm not sure really on the report that you're reading
Mhm.
on that. However, we do know that a lot of the monthly emails that we get from them does include, the time of when they planted, the time that they harvested. So yeah, but it's
Okay.
not in the regulations,
Oh, yeah.
but it is included in their uh, it's part of their licensee license
Requirement?
requirements that they submit updates, and
Uh-huh.
those are the things that we would ask for. And
Okay.
harvest date, it shows their harvest date, sale date sold, things like that, transferred.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does it match in terms of harvest given to produce retail, right? Or is it harvest produce? No, producer is the harvester, right? So harvest, retail, and then sales. Does your numbers match?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we're matching. The only part then we're not capturing is the disposal of the old flour. We don't know how much. Give me in a month how much harvest goes on in a. Would a month be an accurate view, or is this the weekly?
It really depends on the producer. We have some producers that are able to harvest every 2 to 3 weeks or so.
Okay, okay. And
Yeah.
how many pounds do they give you? I guess they do it via email that they harvest today, and this is how many pounds they harvest. That's what it is. Oh my God. Okay. Well, that's probably one of the things we need to do, right? They can't just harvest without you guys. But now I understand why he needs help, because he can't be in 50 places at one time to harvest. And we should go back and maybe take a look at. So you harvest, and in the email they say, I harvested how many? Trees, pounds? How do you guys,
It would be in grams. Yeah.
grams?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay, so give me an amount for 3 weeks based on your knowledge.
I think 20 as far as average.
Average?
Yeah.
So 20,
20 pounds. Sorry.
20 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how many trees that is? No?
Not
Okay.
off the top of my head.
So from the 20 pounds of harvest, is there any reoccurring where it has 3 harvesters producing 20 pounds in a span of 3 weeks? Or does it vary, like 1 month or 3 weeks you have one producer harvesting, then the next week you have another harvest? So in a month, how much marijuana can you harvest based on your licenses for production?
I would have to get that number for you, Congresswoman. I don't have that off the top of my head.
But at least you guys collect it.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And the numbers match, except now our problem is disposal of the flour.
Correct.
Okay. May I please recommend that you guys start a regulation or some kind of SOP regarding that? And then I don't know, I haven't seen your budget requests, sir, but I'd like to see the impact of reducing, based on my bill, reducing the salaries of the commission and moving portions or percentages of that to help your enforcement. I'd like to see the impact and the cost benefit analysis, so that when it comes down to budget, we can actually make a sound decision so that this business is protected, but most of all, it can succeed. Okay.
We'll work on that.
Thank you so much. I yield my time, Chairwoman.
Yes, Vice Chair, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chairman, if I may ask for an updated proposed amendment again. And we were working on the previous legislature on the proposed amendments, and there's a lot of discussion here I don't know if that's maybe one. I think you guys have the authority already to do so, right? In terms of the SOPs for the disposal of
Mhm.
flowers. We really, if there's no documentation, man, we really don't know where it ends up. Um, but yes, I wanted to touch on a few items here on the proposed amendments, and I am very supportive of most of these amendments. One being the homegrown registry, or not having one really. Obviously, there's no data, correct? Um, and then with the special licensing or permitting for public events, is that something that needs to be changed, or is that something that you guys can already do?
It has to be changed in statute because it was it in 2066 clearly says that public land shall not be leased for any special events and those things. So yes, it has to be done through statute change.
And this is where the licensee would be the one to, I guess, apply for it, right? Through you guys, through the commission.
Yes, they just apply for that special event, yeah. But then the public land usage, they still go through whoever's in charge, whether Parks and Recs or DPL. Yeah, still the same procedures.
But if it's for a private property or entity, they just go through you guys.
Yes.
Has that happened since? No.
No. Very hesitant. Very hesitant for I believe there's some interest. However, they're still worried about their neighbors. It's very friendly island, right? Everyone knows their neighbors. People would hate to see like 100 new cars driving by their house just to attend an event, and crimes can happen like that. So we do understand. Some of our interested event holders and why they refuse to have it on private property that's inward in the rural areas of Saipan, Tinyan, Rora. But public lands for me is their target mainly because it's open, it's away from housing areas, from schools, things like that.
So yes, if we can get that, sooner than later, on the proposed amendments, so that we can.
I have it ready, dated for today. I can
Okay.
submit it for the records for today.
Okay, thank you for that. Madam Chair, you.
Thank you. Yes, Rep Cobre, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you again. So here's my question: when you dispose of the flour, you might call it, right? No. What about the stock? What do you get? What do they do with the stock? Like the branch, the trunk, all of that. What do they do with that?
So they go through the same manner. So
So
it's
they
been chopped up, bagged along with the expired flowers.
uh,
Would they give a certain shelf life, right? And when it meets its time, they bag everything up and then they dispose it.
you know that's also an industry, right? For hemp fiber, right? And then the other thing that I wanted to ask: do you guys collect data from your applicants as to what are their challenges on running this type of business? Do you guys have that data on asking your growers, producers, however you want to call them, or anybody that participates in this industry? What kind of challenges are they facing? Because I do know quite a few of those producers, and they do come to me about what their challenges are, and then I just want to know, do you guys know what those challenges are, and are you guys collecting that data and also talking to or having some sort of uh, stakeholder meeting as to why it's affecting and how we could work together to mitigate some of those negative effects on the industry?
Yeah, so we're currently working on that. We don't have a formal process as far as collecting the data as you mentioned. A lot of it is speaking with licensees, but yeah, we will be working on at least collecting through a formal process their feedback. Correct.
Okay, yes, sir.
No,
Yes, Vice
just
Chair.
to touch up on Rep. Odon's recommendation, I do believe that maybe you guys could host, such an event, stakeholders meeting. I know it's tough for them because they're all, competitors, but to have them all in one space and really, talk about the challenges and maybe invite this committee as well to, be informed. Uh, I do want this commission to be a working commission. Um, you know, you guys only exist because we have licensees. Okay. We have the casino commission that continues to exist without any operating casino. And I pray that it doesn't end up like that. Ne? Um, so, yes, we do need to understand a little bit more about the challenges of this industry. As you said, we have 5 licenses that did not renew, and we don't want that to be a trend. Of course, the best will survive, but, uh, you know, license fees are important for your continued existence. Thank you, Madam Chair.
If oh, sorry. Good.
Yes,
I
go
was
ahead.
just gonna respond if I'm able to
Yes,
respond to the
go ahead.
comments. Okay, thank you. Regards to that, uh, reps, we do try to bring in more. To see what can sustain. Um, just over our last meeting, just want to update you guys. There's nothing solid yet. However, we've been working with our council to finalize, not to finalize, but to have a solid language for transport within the CNMI. Because that's the only way that Tinian and Roda will benefit if there's transport allowed. But so far the law with that Trimayo Trimayo thing, right, is only state local waters. Then outside of that is state water, which prohibits the transport to happen, unlike California, Alaska, those guys, it's state water, so they're able to transport from Cali to Catalina Island or whatever islands are doing it, right? So that's what we're also trying to work on, for transport within the CNMI only. Um, the one thing I would like to also share with you guys is, the law is really conflicted with the commissioners right now on meeting with interested vendors. We do meet with them. However, we've been cautioned, that when we do meet with these guys, we have to be careful that our decisions are not biased when we do approve applications and whatnot. There is a very interested applicant who's already visited the CNMI. And that's one thing that they're looking for is transportation, not to the US, but to Australia, if it may be, Thailand, you know. Yes, I know that some of the members in this new legislative body, some of them have possibly heard of them, maybe has met them as well. But um, their if what is it, their contact person has also said it that they're still waiting. And for me, in regards to what I have been cautioned for, as to really reach out to them one on one and say, come, and we're gonna work with the legislature to open up the venue for transporting from Saipan to Australia. Because what was one of their main topics discussed at our meeting, it was a meet and greet with them, was their interest to also open, possibly having their own airline here, which would be a direct flight if they could transport from the CNMI to Australia. Just an example I'm trying to share, because it's been years already, and I believe the push, um, if you guys want the push to come from the commissioners, we have to move um, on this amended bill that we have, or proposed amendments, so it can give us a little bit more movement on who we can approach and how we can approach investors without being conflicted. Thank you.
Yeah, let's have Rep. Don first, and then Rep. Marisa.
Thank you again, the chairwoman. So Have you so you guys have you guys been following and tracking the federal government's at at Washington D.C. on how are they moving along with this
Yes.
cannabis bill?
Yes.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as the FAA is controlling that runway,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot be transporting any contraband that is
Yeah.
considered contraband by the federal government. So you could bring in whatever plane you want, but if the federal government FAA is the one that's controlling the tower, the landing, the runway, you might be wanting to, you know. And
Very
do we
true.
have anybody in Washington D.C. Maybe the Washington rep to lobby for us to get that thing pushed? Because I know that the cinema would not be the only one that's asking for that.
Correct.
They want interstate commerce where
Mhm.
from California to Washington, pass it all the way through. There's no restriction whatsoever. But as long as it's, you know, federal, category, or what is that? Uh, Class one,
Mm-mm.
two,
Yeah.
or whatever it may. I don't know. I don't do drugs like that, but whatever. I only do beer.
It's true regarding FAA, and the reason why I'm bringing up their name, and I'm trying not to really be one on one with them to be conflicted out, is because they kind of hinted when we met that there's a way that it can happen. They don't want to share it yet unless things would move, but for them to say it straight to my face that we believe there's a way that it can happen from CNMI, and not as long as it's not possibly within the US Airways or the I don't know what it's called, but I believe if all councils get together and see how it's gonna work, if if we're allowed to be the main push, we can. But again, what I tried to avoid, since we've been bringing up the commissioner salaries and the casino commission, is I want to avoid being the one to approve a sole license or whatever who's for transport, and it gets conflicted, like how we've been reading the casino commission of them approving a licensee and whatever those things happen. Yeah.
Right, because remember that Washington rep, she sits
Hmm.
on the Transportation and Infrastructure
Yes.
Committee. So she could probably use her, membership as part of the transportation team to figure out what is going on and what is the roadblock and how we can move over that or around it or however, but just not break it. No, so
Yeah. I
we
heard she'll be here by this week. I'm not sure when,
yes,
but I've been trying to schedule a meet and greet also with our delegate to see how she can assist us in this matter.
she'll be here Tuesday.
Tuesday. All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Rep Marisa,
Thank you
Chamos
last time,
Land.
and this is
Yes.
it.
Okay.
Usually members speak first. That's the unwritten rule here. So, I asked him to yield to me, but obviously that didn't happen. So, thank you, Rep Cobre. Two things. Number one, regarding the transportation, may I recommend there's a lot of activity going on with how they're going to treat this industry, the cannabis industry. There's a lot of talk in the federal government about removing them from this schedule, right? Which then will in turn allow territories like us to participate, right, cross region. Can I recommend that you guys start forecasting, right? And any event when that happens, you're ready to go. You know exactly what to advocate for. You know exactly where the road bumps are. You know exactly how to maneuver. I mean, if you're talking about airways, right? How is this going to now be transported? All of this is available through FAA. So you need to understand the routes, which country we want to do business with, whether it be in Singapore, somewhere in Asia. Start figuring out those routes, because at some point it will be lifted off, because this is part of the Farmers Act or something like
Farm
that,
bill.
right?
Correct.
Farm bill. So it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. What I don't want is to be the back end of this, right? And you're well equipped to understand this. You're a smart group of people. You're young. You're curious. So you want to make sure that you are crossing your T's and dotting your I's. So that's my recommendations. Be ahead, right? Start following this market and this trend. Number two, for the chairman, I know that you mentioned that there is a conflict and a very thin line where you can participate in conversation, especially with investors. May I recommend that when they come to you, you being the regulatory, right? You already understand your role. So yes, as a regulatory person, you cannot meet with them, period, right? However, your executive director can meet with them. But my only request is that when he meets and the investors here, Mr. Evangelista, if you can invite CETA to the table, Commerce to the table, and maybe the Office on Planning and Development, right? These are the people that you need to bring to the table. The commissioners have no business meeting with with investors, and we learned that with the Casino Commission. So I understand where he is very cautious, and I'm glad that he's very cognizant of that. But as a commissioner and as staff, your job is to be that front line, right? Meet with the investors, turn in your recommendation, and let the board decide what they want to do with it. In the same way with regulations, if you feel that this is too easy and it needs more enforcement, write it up, give it to the commission. And I ask that the commission also, support your staff because they're really on the ground. If it's one thing I notice about the Commonwealth, we got a lot of boards that like to micromanage, and that's not their role. And I want to make that very clear because we are on air. And again, I hate to use the Casino Commission as an example, but it's very true. That's another commission on top of all the other ones that love to micromanage, therefore hindering the executive director and its staff to really fully do their job. Your job is to really make your commissioners look great. And your commissioners really, it's back and forth. It goes like this, it's two ways. But I highly recommend that, Commissioner, yes, you are right that there is a very thin line between you and meeting those people that want to invest. But you do have an executive director here that's very capable with his staff, that he has at his disposal. But moving forward, if they are to meet, I highly ask that you revert them over to your executive director, who in turn will bring in the key people to make a sound decision so that the board can decide what is in the best interest of this industry. Okay, thank you, Madam Chairwoman Ayo.
Okay, so yes, it's past 11 o'clock already, and
Yeah.
I think you've updated us a lot. Thank you. We've learned a lot, and yes, there's still a lot to do. And yes, Rep. Marisa, so you want them back in 3 months. So can you repeat what they need to
Madam
bring to
Chairwoman,
the table, please?
if they can be back, I guess the ideal time would be next quarter, right? Because we have a baseline. So if they can be back next quarter, I don't, what is it? We're on the second quarter, third quarter, I believe. If they can be back at the beginning of the third quarter to give us, an update based on what transpired here. And that would be great, at least to give us some idea. And then that way, with this under your leadership, Madam Chairwoman, if we can, have a working group to make the recommended changes if need be by your leadership moving forward, then we can have those conversations. But I think right now it'd be premature to impose or act upon the need right now. But my biggest concern is to bring them back next quarter for an update, but also to see the cost benefit analysis and the impact of my bill, which was to reduce the salary of the commission and switch it over to staff. I like to see the impact, and I would really like to, an executive director, I'm not going to tell you where to move it, but as an executive director, you should know where you need it most. But I would like to see that cost benefit analysis and where it's going to go in your budget narrative to support that, the impact of that. No?
Yes,
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. So, yes, thank you, everyone from the commission, Cannabis Commission. That's it for today. And next item on the agenda, let's move on to the next item. Old business, we do not have one. And then miscellaneous. Any miscellaneous? Already, okay. And announcements. Now open the floor for any announcements. We're good. Okay, so the next one is adjournment. Okay. It is now, is that 11:20 back there? Can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh, okay. Okay, discussion on the motion? All right. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say nay. Meeting adjourned.